One morning, a 58-year-old man from Columbus, Ohio, woke up at 3 a.m. with a crushing pressure in his chest and his left arm completely numb. His wife rushed him to the emergency room. The scan showed his arteries were 70% blocked. His cardiologist told him surgery might be the only option left. But 6 months later, that same man walked back into his doctor's office with a blood pressure reading of 118/76. No surgery, no new medications. His doctor stared at the results and asked him one question: "What did you change?" His answer was not a supplement, not an expensive treatment, and not anything his doctor had ever recommended. It was a seed. One specific seed that most people walk right past in the grocery store every single week without a second thought. Stay with me, because what you are about to learn could change the way you think about your heart health forever. Before I tell you what that seed is, I need you to understand something that most doctors do not have time to explain during a 10-minute appointment. Your arteries are not just passive tubes carrying blood from point A to point B. They are living tissue, constantly under pressure, constantly responding to what you eat, how you sleep, and how much inflammation is quietly building inside your body right now. Every year, a combination of oxidized cholesterol, calcium deposits, and chronic inflammation layers itself onto the inner walls of your arteries like rust building up inside a pipe. The pipe narrows. The heart has to pump harder. Blood pressure rises, and you feel nothing dramatic enough to act on. Maybe a little more tired than usual. Maybe a dull headache after a long day. Maybe your ankles look slightly puffy by evening. These are the signals most people dismiss as aging. According to the CDC, more than 122 million Americans are currently living with high blood pressure or hypertension. The American Heart Association reports that someone in the United States dies from cardiovascular disease every 34 seconds. The most terrifying part is that for millions of people, the very first symptom they experience is a heart attack or a stroke. There is no warning, there is no second chance. The question you need to sit with right now is this: what is actually happening inside your arteries today? Comment below and type the number 7 right now if you are over 40 and you have been told your blood pressure is higher than it should be. I want to know how many people watching this need this information most. Now, before we go any further, I want to be very clear about something. Everything you are about to hear is not based on folk medicine, internet rumors, or wellness trends. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition and indexed by the National Institutes of Health has shown that specific bioactive compounds found in this seed can reduce systolic blood pressure by up to 8 to 10 millimeters of mercury after just 8 weeks of consistent use. Studies referenced by researchers at Harvard Medical School and the American Heart Association have highlighted these same compounds as some of the most promising natural agents for supporting cardiovascular health in adults over 40. The National Lipid Association has also recognized the dietary role of these compounds in managing LDL cholesterol and arterial inflammation. This is peer-reviewed science. And there is one critical mistake that nearly 90% of people make when using this seed that completely cancels out every single benefit. I will tell you exactly what that mistake is before this video ends, so do not skip ahead. The seed is flaxseed. That is it. Small, light brown, inexpensive, and sitting quietly on the shelf of almost every grocery store in America. Most people who have heard of flaxseed think of it as a fiber supplement or something vegans sprinkle on their smoothies. They have no idea they are looking at one of the most clinically studied seeds on the planet for cardiovascular support. Flaxseed does not get the marketing budget of prescription medications. There is no pharmaceutical company spending billions to put it in front of you. It costs less than $1 per serving and it cannot be patented. That is precisely why it has stayed off your radar. But inside each tiny seed is a combination of 3 compounds that your arteries have been waiting for, and no synthetic drug on the market fully replicates all 3 of them working together in the way nature designed them. Let me break down exactly how flaxseed works inside your body, and I am going to keep this simple because the science is actually not complicated once you understand the 3 mechanisms. The first is alpha-linolenic acid, which is an omega-3 fatty acid that your body cannot produce on its own. You have to get it from food. Alpha-linolenic acid directly targets the inflammatory pathways that cause arterial walls to stiffen and narrow over time. Think of chronic inflammation as the slow fire that burns through the lining of your blood vessels, creating microdamage that cholesterol then rushes in to patch. Alpha-linolenic acid turns down that fire at the source, reducing levels of inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein and interleukin-6 that have been directly linked to cardiovascular events in multiple large-scale studies. The second compound is lignans. Flaxseed contains more lignans than any other food on Earth, up to 800 times more than the next highest plant source. Lignans are powerful antioxidants that prevent LDL cholesterol from becoming oxidized. This matters enormously because it is not LDL cholesterol itself that causes most of the arterial damage. It is oxidized LDL, the version that has been chemically altered by free radicals, that sticks to arterial walls and begins the plaque-building process. By neutralizing those free radicals before they can oxidize LDL, lignans interrupt the cycle before it starts. The third compound is soluble fiber. When soluble fiber from flaxseed meets the fluid in your digestive tract, it forms a thick gel that physically binds to cholesterol molecules and bile acids and carries them out of your body before they can be absorbed into your bloodstream. Less cholesterol absorbed means less circulating in your blood and less available to deposit on arterial walls. These three mechanisms work simultaneously, and they reinforce each other in ways that isolated supplements simply cannot replicate. If you have been using flaxseed and not seeing results, type the number 7 in the comments right now. And if you have never tried it and you are skeptical, hit the like button on this video because the next section is going to address exactly why skepticism makes complete sense here and what the research actually says about real people getting real results. Margaret is 63 years old and spent 35 years as a high school math teacher in Austin, Texas. After she retired, her doctor had been managing her blood pressure with medication for 4 years. Her readings consistently came in around 155/95, despite taking her pills every morning without fail. Her doctor told her they might need to discuss increasing her dosage at her next appointment. Margaret did not want that. She had watched her father spend the last decade of his life managing the side effects of blood pressure medications, and she was determined to find another path. A colleague of hers mentioned flaxseed at a lunch one afternoon, not in any dramatic way, just a casual mention that she had been adding it to her morning oatmeal and her last checkup had gone well. Margaret decided to try it. She did not change her diet significantly. She did not start a new exercise program. She added 2 tablespoons of freshly ground flaxseed to her breakfast every single morning, and she drank more water than she had been drinking. At her 6-week checkup, her blood pressure came in at 138/84. Her doctor asked what she had changed. At her 12-week checkup, it was 127/79. Her doctor was so surprised that he asked her to keep a detailed food diary so he could share her approach with other patients who were struggling with the same issue. Margaret's result was not magic. It was consistency, and it was using flaxseed the right way, which is exactly what I am going to show you right now. This is the most important section of this entire video because the way most people use flaxseed guarantees they will never see the results Margaret saw, and they will give up thinking it does not work. The single biggest mistake is using whole flax seeds and expecting any benefit at all. Whole flax seeds pass through your digestive system almost entirely intact. Your body cannot break through the outer shell efficiently enough to access the omega-3s, lignans, or soluble fiber inside. You are essentially swallowing nutrients your body cannot reach. The solution is simple: grind them. Use a small coffee grinder or buy a bag of pre-ground flaxseed meal, but if you buy it pre-ground, you must store it in the refrigerator in an airtight container and use it within 7 days, because the omega-3 fatty acids begin to oxidize and degrade quickly once the seed is broken open. The second mistake is using flaxseed oil as a substitute. Flaxseed oil does contain alpha-linolenic acid, but the grinding process that produces the oil removes most of the lignins and virtually all of the soluble fiber. You are getting 1/3 of the benefit at best. The third mistake is inconsistency. Taking flaxseed 3 days 1 week and skipping the next produces nothing measurable. The research showing blood pressure reductions require daily use over a minimum of 6 to 8 weeks. The correct approach is this: grind 1 to 2 tablespoons of whole flax seeds fresh each morning. Add them to oatmeal, a smoothie, plain yogurt, or stir them into warm water with a squeeze of lemon. Take them with your largest glass of water of the day. The best time is with breakfast because your digestive system is waking up and ready to process the soluble fiber most efficiently at that point in the day. Do not cook flaxseed at high temperatures because heat degrades the omega-3 content significantly. If you want to add it to baking, add it after removing food from the oven, not before. Here is what you can realistically expect when you use flaxseed correctly and consistently. In the first 1 to 2 weeks, most people notice improvements in digestion and a reduction in bloating. Sleep quality often improves slightly during this window as well. By weeks 3 and 4, energy levels during the morning tend to stabilize, and afternoon fatigue begins to lessen. This is your body beginning to reduce systemic inflammation. Between weeks 6 and 8, blood pressure readings often begin to reflect measurable improvement. This is the window where the research is most consistent. If you have a home blood pressure monitor, this is a good time to start tracking daily. Between weeks 10 and 12, LDL cholesterol levels and triglyceride markers can begin showing improvement on standard blood panels. These are not dramatic overnight changes, but they are real, they are measurable, and they compound over time in ways that matter profoundly to your long-term cardiovascular health. Early in this video, I promised to tell you the one overlooked daily habit that determines whether flaxseed works for you or not. Here it is: water. Specifically, drinking enough of it. The soluble fiber in flaxseed requires adequate hydration to form the gel that captures cholesterol in your digestive tract. Without enough water, that fiber can actually slow digestion and cause discomfort, which is why so many people try flaxseed for 2 weeks, feel bloated, and quit. The general guideline that research supports is drinking approximately half your body weight in pounds converted to ounces of water daily. If you weigh 160 pounds, that means 80 ounces of water, roughly 2.4 liters, spread throughout the day. Do this consistently alongside your daily ground flaxseed, and you have given your cardiovascular system one of the most evidence-backed, affordable, and accessible tools available anywhere. Without this habit, none of the other steps matter nearly as much. Your heart is working right now, this very second, without asking anything from you. It has been doing that since before you were born. What you eat tomorrow morning and the morning after that, and every morning that follows, is either adding to the burden it carries or helping to lift some of it. Flaxseed is not a cure, it is not a replacement for medical care, and it is not a miracle, but it is one of the most studied, most affordable, and most consistently overlooked tools for supporting the health of your arteries, and now you know exactly how to use it. Type the words "I will start this week" in the comments below if you are committing to trying this. Share this video with someone you care about who you know is dealing with blood pressure issues, because this information costs nothing and it could genuinely matter to them. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because next week we are going over the second food that cardiovascular researchers are calling the most underrated breakfast ingredient for arterial health in adults over 50.